Hello and welcome back to another episode of Solo No More. I'm your host Catryce, and this episode is going to be just kind of a wedding planning update, some just kind of getting real about the wedding planning experience, where we're at. We are a couple months out from the wedding, and I feel like if people are not asking me about my businesses, they are asking me about my wedding. Right now I'm either a CEO or I'm that's all I am to people right now. So I was like, okay, let me record an episode and kind of just give a little bit of an update. But honestly, this is probably not the update you are expecting because it's going to get pretty deep and pretty real. And I'm going to be really raw and candid about kind of this experience. I will say that wedding planning has definitely brought Reese and I closer together as a couple, but it's been hard. There has been a lot of obstacles that we've overcome. There's a lot of things that we are currently going through. But, right now, that's just the season that we are in, is like we are in full wedding prep mode. Like, I don't even feel like it's wedding planning mode anymore. It's wedding prep mode. I hope that this episode at least lets other people who are, getting ready to enter this season of life where they are planning and prepping for a wedding, kind of lets them know if they are experiencing any of the things that Reese and I have kind of gone through on this journey to our wedding day, that they're not alone in this, but also just obviously, my algorithm is consumed with other brides and wedding content, and I work with a lot of photographers and other wedding vendors. I get weddings are in my face all the time, and everyone talks about it being the best day of your life, and it's going to be the greatest day of your life, and it's going to be so amazing and so fun, and everything will be worth it. And it's just very sunshines and rainbows. And people do talk about the concept of, wedding prep being hard and stuff, but I don't really feel like it's so surface level. And so this episode, I'm going to kind of really unpack the things that Reese and I have kind of experienced. And he knows this episode is coming out. I talked to him and I was like, I just really want to share this because it's part of the experience, and we've learned a lot. So if you don't know, I have an ex-fiancé, and we made it 7 months out from our wedding. That's when we broke things off. We had 7 months to go. So that is a piece of critical knowledge. And then also a piece of critical knowledge to know is that I truly had no clue that Reese was going to propose when he did. We got engaged in September of 2020. It was amazing. He totally caught me off guard, which, really made it even more special because I'm someone who's so on top of everything, and I am a really big planner and a little bit of a control freak. That's the eldest daughter in me. So for him to, do everything that he did and to surprise me with this, I have known Reese and I have been together for 4 years, and I have known that Reese is my person, that I want to be with him for the rest of my life, that I would like to start a family with him, all these different things. But the thing is that we really didn't have a conversation about, the timeline. What did that timeline look like? Again, getting engaged September 2023. We'd been together for 2.5 years-ish. And I don't feel like we got engaged too early. That's not the case. I was recently talking to some friends about this. I truly was caught off guard because prior to having this conversation with my friends, I have been telling people I thought maybe in the next year, 2024, we'd get engaged. But when I was talking about it recently, I was like, I actually don't think that I ever really had a timeline for us. I just was kind of we are just going with the flow of things. But I was still pretty, my relationship with my ex-fiance was, and to this day still is. Ultimately, mine and Reese's relationship will surpass this, but my relationship with my ex-fiance was the longest relationship that I've ever been in up until this point. And at the time that we got engaged, I was feeling very healed from that relationship, but I had no clue, and something that I had never really thought about when thinking about, I want to marry Reese and that stuff, because I had those thoughts. I knew that I wanted to marry him, just there wasn't a timeline in my head on when are we going to be engaged? How long do we expect that engagement to be? Those types of things. But I didn't realize how almost triggering it would be. The proposal itself was beautiful. It was amazing. But it was kind of a month or so, maybe even a couple weeks after the proposal where it really sank into me, like these fears that I had about, the relationship not lasting, fears about, putting down deposits and stuff and then having to turn around, like announce, like just fears about like announcing it and stuff and like having to turn around and be like, oh, like it's over. Not that I think that Reese and I are going to break up. I don't want that. But from the experience from my last relationship, there was just unresolved trauma that I didn't even know was there because like it was kind of like I had to get engaged again to unlock this thing. And so I will say that I spent like the majority of our engagement in this like fight or flight. Like I was just so on edge, being like, are we going to make it? Like I want to say that we set our date pretty early on in the engagement. Like we knew, like we picked a date, but like I just in the back of my head there was like this voice like, are you going to make it? Is this going to last? Like, is it actually worth it to put down a deposit on a venue, to go wedding dress shopping, to get a photographer, those types of things? Because I had done those things for my last wedding, and the embarrassment and the shame that I felt when my last engagement was called off, like as happy as I was to be out of that relationship, as relieved as I was to be free of that like relationship, I just felt really isolated. And it was one of those things where it's like, you just don't know the conversations that are being had and how people view you because of like a failed engagement or stuff like that. And so I just spent a lot of time, not a lot of time, like this wasn't always like a pressing thing on my mind, but just like there would be moments where people would ask me about Reese and I getting married and like the wedding and that stuff. And like in the back of my head, I would just be like, I just hope that we make it to the wedding. Like, I just hope I make it down the aisle. And it wasn't until we reached like 6 months out, so like January of this year, 6 months out from the wedding, that I finally like really felt like, okay, we're gonna make it. We're gonna do this. And like we booked our venue and our photographer in the spring of 2024. So we had those all like set and everything, because ultimately, again, I work in the wedding industry. Like I know the timelines in which to book things, and so book those, but like, the whole time I was like, oh, I don't know. But and I'm so excited, like it's gonna be amazing. But there's like the second piece that Reese and I have recently been talking about. So people, we're now a couple months out, people are like, oh my gosh, are you so excited? Like it's coming up so fast. And we're like, yeah, it's coming up so fast. And weddings are so expensive. And Reese and I recently had this conversation where I kind of like got real with Reese regarding, my financial stress around the wedding. And when we got engaged, I wanted to get married in Vegas. So I wanted to get married in Vegas, not totally like full elopement, like just him and I. Like I was thinking maybe our immediate families, grandparents, if they were capable of flying to Vegas and everything, to be there with us. But, ceremony, small celebration in Vegas, and then we'd have like a big party later on in Seattle. I kind of wanted a shorter engagement, but Reese was like, I really want a fiancé era. I understand that you've gotten your fiancé era, but I really want that. And I was like, totally respect that. And kind of as we began this wedding planning process and I was talking about Vegas, he was like, he got me dreaming about like, what would my dream wedding look like? And what things do I want? What would the theme be? And so we kind of landed on the wedding that we are planning right now, the celebration, the event that we will have. But in these last couple months, as we get closer, as we're paying for, the venue's paid off, Reese's parents took care of paying that. We just have to pay them back. Our deposit is down, or not deposit, our retainer is down for our photographer. We owe the rest of the money in June. We're doing a lot of DIY things, and that's something that like going into wedding planning, and when we decided that we were going to go the direction that we have gone, that I knew would be a reality, but something that in the last, I would say month and a half, like since my birthday, actually even a little before my birthday, just really the reality of how expensive a wedding is, how stressful it is in terms of like feeling like there's so much to plan, and it's like we just don't have the budget to hire someone to plan for us. There's so much to plan, and there's so many questions that people have and so much information that people want from us that I am like I am trying to run this business. I'm trying to, Reese and I are trying to take care of our relationship, trying to have like a life outside of my relationship and my business. Like, I will admit that I've been so bad at responding to people lately because I'm so overwhelmed by the amount of DMs and text messages and emails that I get between just people asking, wanting to coordinate hanging out or stuff like that, where it takes this extra level where I'm I just need to is just showing up for my clients. I'm out here to get that bag because I need to pay for this wedding. I do not have time to plan a hangout. If you want to hang out with me, you need to come to me and be like, hey, are you available on this day at this time? Do you want to meet here? Type of deal. And it's felt really bad because I feel like right now I'm just in this season of just survival, and people ask me about my excitement and talk about how this is the best season of my life, and this is gonna be the greatest time, and I'm gonna look back on this time, it's gonna be so good, and the wedding's gonna be great. But I'm honestly, I'm gonna be completely real with you. I cannot fucking wait for this wedding to be over. I can't wait. Because as excited as I am, I'm at this point where I feel like I cannot show up to the fullest capacity in my life that I would like to. And that is because of the wedding. There are things for my business that I really want to invest in that I can't invest in right now because of the wedding. There are travel things that I want to go do. I just want to go experience life more with Reese, and I feel like we're just falling on this budget because of this wedding. And yes, there's the concept of delayed gratification. But I just don't think it's talked about enough. Just the sacrifices that come with this and the reality of and I knew this. And I think recently I had this conversation where I was I'm just really stressed financially as I'm looking at, the projection, revenue projections and profit and owner's cut and stuff for my businesses. I was I'm just really financially stressed. We are really we're going to make it work, but it's going to be tight, and we are going to get real scrappy with how we're paying things and paying for things and paying things off and stuff like that. I've reached a point where I'm do I start, we have a couple of vendors that we still need to hire, and I'm I am now bartering. I'm would you willing to do X, Y, and Z, and I will give you free social media management for, to match that your rate and stuff. Insane. And when I was having this conversation with Reese, and I was talking about, just feeling really financially stressed, and how, I kind of told him, I was I really wish we had gone with Vegas. It would have been smaller and simpler. The things that I care about most is the photographer. That's number one big thing. We are investing into wedding photography. Photography is the biggest thing. Next was the venue. I cared about where we got married. So we are getting married at this gorgeous manor in South King County. Maybe even not South King County. Maybe it's Pierce County. It's North Pierce County. South Pierce County. I don't know. Pierce County is weird. But we're getting married on the western side of Washington. We're getting married at this manor, and it's going to be gorgeous. And it's definitely one of my dream Washington venues. But it was almost a 12 grand investment, where Vegas would have been significantly cheaper. And so I had this conversation with Reese, and we were talking about it, and I was just talking about, when I had initially, vocalized, I was Vegas, let's do Vegas. And he was I would love to have more of a wedding, an actual, celebrate with all of our people and all this stuff. And we did find a blend on how we're doing that with how our current setup is. But something that he kept saying to me, he was I believe in your business, and you are going to do so great, and you're going to sign all these clients, and I believe in you, and that optimism, that belief. I love the support. But it was so delulu. I had my first 5K month in March from my business. And when I say 5K, I mean my business as a whole made 5K. Now I pocketed 5K. That was March of this year. And I've had 5K months since. I'm doing fantastic, but it's not the things that we want, our non-negotiables, our priorities are expensive. The next things after venue was looks. I care about my actual ceremony dress. I care about my reception dress. I care about his suit. He really wanted a nude pink suit. I was like, I really want that for you. And I want it to be tailored. I want you to feel really confident and sexy in it. So that piece. And then I also cared about, for the wedding, what was our plan for afterwards? Like, I didn't want it to just be like, oh, we get married and then like, we get married on the weekend and let's go back to work on Monday. So all of that, like, just those pieces, super expensive. Now, as we had these conversations, and Reese was like, I do think we could do bigger than just Vegas. And he was like, I believe in your business. I'm gonna, ask for a raise at work and like all these things, and like, really was like, we can make this work, like we can do this. And I'll admit it, like I applied to 9-to-5s, I applied to part-time jobs, like full-time jobs. And like, you're probably like listening to this and you're like, Catryce, but you like quit swim lessons. And I ultimately do think that I needed to do that to prepare for the wedding, because my skin, my hair, I needed that time out of the chlorinated pool. Like, I don't think that I could have my skin and hair where it's at right now if I hadn't stopped teaching swim lessons all the time back in August. I have healthier hair. My skin is like just not as dried out. Like, I want to say more moisturized, hydrated. So I think that was essential. But like, I have gone and applied. I honestly lost track of all the jobs that I was applying to. And I was applying to all the things from Starbucks and other coffee shops. Like, I don't even drink coffee, to other Graystar buildings. Reese works for Graystar. I was like, okay, maybe I'll go work at another building. Like, different tourist attractions around Seattle, like the Space Needle and the Great Wheel and Wings Over Washington and those types of things. So on top of, having my business, like, I did see the reality of like, if we are going to do a bit bigger than Vegas, then like, I need to step up my money game. I got a couple of interviews, and I didn't get a couple of interviews. I got a couple screenings, like the screening call where it's like the recruiter and they're on the phone with you and they want to, verify that it's going to be a good fit and all of that before they pass you along to the actual, like manager, the supervisor. I've done a couple screening calls, didn't get anything, which was so frustrating. But all in all, with going the direction that we decided to go, it required hiring more vendors, because it's kind of like balancing the dream of being like, okay, realistically, this is like what we can do, and we are doing so much DIY. But also, like, I want this to still be my dream wedding. We want this to still be the dream. How do we, ball on a budget and do that? And it has been a time. Everything is going to look great. My mom and I talk about this all the time. It's going to work out. It's going to look great. But I'm going to be completely honest. I'm really stressed. And I think the things that have really helped me to try to like control the stress is, one, remembering that this does not have to be the absolute best day of my life. I think the idea of going into your wedding and being like, this is going to be the absolute best day of your life, really sets you up to ultimately get really disappointed if things go wrong. And I know that things are going to go wrong. Things are, there is going to be unpredictable things that happen where we're just going to be like, oh, we just got to roll with the punches. But just remembering that this doesn't have to be the best day of my life. Like, it can be one of the best days of my life. It can be one of the happiest days of my life. It could be one of the days where Reese and I feel the most love for each other. But it doesn't have to be number one. It could be in the top 10. So that's been really big. I think also it has, just reminding myself that, again, everything is going to be okay. Like, one way or another, we will make it out of this. Like, I have my dress, Reese has his suit, we have the venue, we need to pay the remainder for the photographer. That will get done. But if that's literally all, like, I'm telling you, like, we may get to a point where I think that it's just going to be like, we have a playlist and a Bluetooth speaker. And it's all of our favorite songs, and it's just a Bluetooth speaker for the reception. Like, if that's all it is, like, it's going to work out. But I wanted to record this episode because just, really pulling the curtain back on what the reality of, like, wedding planning or wedding prep is. And I know that someone is probably going to listen to this episode and be like, Catryce, it just sounds like you're just complaining and like you didn't plan and you didn't prep and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, this is just the reality of it. And this is the side of like planning a wedding as like the average person who, like, it's just the average person. This is what it's like. And yeah, that's really all. That's all I have for you right now. Like, I will definitely do a debrief after the wedding, kind of talking through the numbers and how we planned things and how we made everything work. But I just wanted to give this update because I just think that what is seen online is so sunshine and rainbows. And it's okay it's okay if you are a bride or a groom and you are feeling super stressed and you're almost just feeling ready for the day to be done. That's okay. That's normal. I've determined that that is normal because I just doubt that I'm the only one that feels like this. Where I'm so excited. The day is going to be amazing. I'm so excited for the ceremony. That is what I'm most excited about. I'm excited for the ceremony and the moments after, not the moments after, but like when Reese and we have it planned into our timeline for Reese and I to take some time for just the two of us. I'm really excited for that. But everything else, everything else is just, we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what happens. And like, honestly, I almost was like, maybe my wedding is going to be a ticketed event. And I'll talk more about those things in another episode, because there are some things that I definitely considered to make this more doable, more affordable. But that is for another day, another episode. I just really wanted to record this and kind of pull the curtain back. And if you are a bride or a groom and you're just like, this is so stressful, how does everyone make wedding planning seem so fun and so sparkly and so sunshiny? Like, why is no one else stressing out? Just know that you are not alone. You are not alone. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I will chat with you next